Welcome, welcome. Are you feeling nice and warm and toasty? It is chilly, but we do live in Michigan, so we're accustomed to this, right? Welcome, welcome, welcome to the 2025 16th Great Lakes Bay Regional Martin Luther King Jr. celebration. We are so delighted to know what, guess what? We are in person again. Isn't that exciting? Finally. Well, at Saginaw Valley State University, we recognize that we're located in the ancestral homelands of the Anishinaabe, Wyandot, and Sauk. We expressly acknowledge the Saginaw Chippewa tribe and the land that seceded in the Saginaw Treaty of 1819, on which we reside. We appreciate the importance of preserving and honoring the traditions of indigenous people who are an integral part of our shared history, often forgotten. As we pledge to serve as responsible stewards of the land, we endeavor for this history to inform our teaching, scholarship, and our commitment to the community. I'm Colette Boyd, anchor of WNEM TV5 News, but of course you know that because you watch me at noon and 4 p.m., correct? Yes. I am so happy, my friends, to serve as your mistress of ceremonies for this very special occasion. I'm so excited to honor all these young people here today. I met a lot of them. Our theme this year is working together, sharing the dream. Let's say that again. Working together. All of us sharing the dream. Now, this annual Dr. King's holiday affords us all an opportunity to really reflect upon the past while seeking hope, determination, and an opportunity to act upon the promise of the future. Our future is great. Don't be in despair. We've got this. This evening, the committee has planned a very, very special program in honor of Dr. King's birthday. We know that you will truly enjoy the talents, commitment of our community, our students, and our speaker, Reverend Nontombi, Naomi, Tutu, who will make the celebration one truly to be remembered. Let's just give her a round of applause as we sit here. We are so honored to have her in our presence. I would like to introduce you right now to an outstanding man who lives the life and legacy of Dr. King and tries to implement that every day in his position. Saginaw Valley State University's fourth president, Dr. George Grant Jr. Let's enthusiastically welcome Dr. Grant. Here he is.
Thank you, Colette. Good evening. It's so good to see all of you here this evening. So they're talking about it was cold outside, so we did turn the heat up for you. So everybody should feel toasty. Good, that's what we want. Well, excited to have everyone here. This is one of the programs where our community comes together to celebrate not just the life of Dr. King, but all of the people who sacrifice year after year, century after century, fighting for human rights, fighting for social justice, fighting to make a difference. And Reverend Tutu, thank you so much for being here. I think years ago when your father was in the United States, my father-in-law and I got to go see him and hear him and was just so impressed. And now you think all these years later, his daughter is here. And we're so excited that you are part of our community. We want to welcome you to Saginaw. You talked a little bit earlier, and you had not been to Saginaw before. So this is the Great Lakes Bay region. So thank you for being part of us. Thank you for being at our university. We appreciate that as well. So tonight is a wonderful occasion. I want to thank you all for being here. And as our students sang, let us march on till victory is won. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Grant, for welcoming our audience. I'd just like for you to give him another round of applause because his job is taxing, and he does a wonderful job at this university. Thank you, Dr. Grant. We appreciate his commitment to keeping Dr. King's dream alive. Well, this time I'd like to introduce the leaders of the 3 community foundations in our Great Lakes Bay region. Please welcome to the stage Renee Johnston. I just had her on my show the other day, President and CEO of the Saginaw Community Foundation, who will present the 2025 MLK Scholarship recipients. Sharon Mortensen, President and CEO of the Midland Area Community Foundation. I'll have to get her on the show too, get her number. And Sean Walraven, CEO of the Bay Area Community Foundation. 2 more interviews here that I'm going to have to get. Please welcome them all because they do so much for our community to the stage. Round of applause, please.
Thank you, Colette. And good evening. My name is Renee Johnston, President and CEO of the Saginaw Community Foundation. And tonight, I'm joined by my colleagues, Shauna Walraven from the Bay Area Community Foundation and Sharon Mortensen from the Midland Area Community Foundation to present the 2025 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Regional Scholarship recipients. At this time, I would like to thank Dow and our 3 community foundations who made these scholarships possible. It's truly hard to believe that it's been 15 years since the community foundations, chambers, Delta College, Saginaw Valley State University, and other amazing community partners first came together to organize this amazing event to recognize Dr. King, as well as the youth in our region. And I hope everyone in attendance this evening can recognize the true collaboration in the planning and preparations for this event, because this event represents how we all can come together sharing the dream. So thank you for being here to help us celebrate Dr. King and everything he stood and fought for, as well as the students who exemplify his amazing efforts. So at this time, I would like to introduce the 2025 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Regional Scholarship recipients. Requirements of the MLK Scholarship include evidence of direct involvement in activities that are aimed at bridging the gap between races, promoting racial harmony, inequality, and improving awareness and understanding of cultural diversity. Students were asked to respond to 3 questions that basically ask them what they have done to keep Dr. King's dream alive. They were also asked to share if they have seen changes in their community. And I'd actually like to give you some examples of what these young people have been doing. Amongst our recipients, we have youth ambassadors for social justice, Michigan Civil Rights Fellows, founding members of the multicultural clubs at their schools, president of the Black Student Alliance, volunteering for the Disability Service Resource Center, youth entrepreneurs, DEI committee chair for the Michigan Student Board of Delegates implementing cultural awareness, and creating opportunities for senior citizens in the community. There is no doubt that these young people have and will continue to carry Dr. King's dream alive. Each recipient will receive a $1,000 non-renewable scholarship towards the college or university of their choice. This year, we had more than 130 applicants across the Great Lakes Bay region. And I want to thank the Regional Scholarship Committee, represented by the scholarship program officers from the Bay, Midland, and Saginaw Community Foundations, along with community volunteers from each of our counties who reviewed each of these applications. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to present our 2025 recipients.
Michael Baldwin from Saginaw United High School plans to study exercise science and kinesiology. Michael is unable to attend tonight, so Miss Alexis Thomas is accepting the scholarship on his behalf. Braden Beeson from Bay City Central High School plans to major in marketing. Jada Brown from Saginaw Arts and Sciences Academy plans to major in elementary education. Christine Thai from H.H. Dow High School plans to study mathematics. Gabriella Castanon from Carleton High School plans to major in pre-medicine. Jessica Chai from H.H. Dow High School plans to study biochemistry. Charlotte Forner from Bay City Western High School plans to go into social work. Elizabeth Garner from Nouvelle Catholic Central High School plans to major in pre-medicine nursing.
Next, we have Madeline Gostinichek from Bullock Creek High School, who plans to study public policy. Audrey Hunt from St. Charles Community High School plans to major in political science. Aisha Midda from H.H. Dow High School plans to major in international business. Shakama Okisar from H.H. Dow plans to study electrical, computer, environmental engineering. Gage Vermeesh from Bay City Western High School plans to major in mechanical engineering. Sean Westlick from John Glenn High School plans to study pre-health health sciences. Unfortunately, Sean wasn't able to attend this evening, but the Bay Area Community Foundation will accept the scholarship on his behalf. And then finally, Ringing Zhang from H.H. Dow plans to major in psychology, public health. So at this time, our recipients have a special presentation for you. And now I invite Dr. Eric Gardner, member of the SVSU faculty, to introduce a speech the students have prepared for you this evening. Dr. Gardner?
Good evening. Dr. King delivered a speech titled A Creative Protest on February 16, 1960, at White Rock Baptist Church in Durham, North Carolina. Earlier that month, 4 African-American college students, not much older than these folks, were refused service when they sat down in white-only seats at the Woolworth counter in Greensboro. They stayed in their seats to protest. Soon after, hundreds of area residents, many of them students, were engaging in this kind of nonviolent creative protest. When the sit-ins spread to Durham, Douglas Moore, a minister there, invited Dr. King to speak. With our partners at Delta College, we're pleased to share a video of this year's MLK Scholarship winners reminding us of Dr. King's powerful words.
Victor Hugo once said that there is nothing in all the world more powerful than an idea whose time has come. The dynamic idea whose time has come today is the quest for freedom and human dignity. Men are tired of being trampled over by the iron feet of oppression. They are tired of being plunged into the abyss of exploitation where they experience the bleakness of nagging despair. And so, all over the world, formerly oppressed people are making it palpably clear that they are determined to be free.
You students of North Carolina have captured this dynamic idea in a marvelous manner. You have taken the undying and passionate yearning for freedom and filtered it in your own soul and fashioned it into a creative protest that is destined to be one of the glowing epics of our time. For the past few days, you have moved in a uniquely meaningful, orbit-impacting heat and light to distant satellites. In this period, when civil rights legislation hangs in an uncertain balance in Congress,
When the recalcitrance of some public officials in the South instills us with frustration and despondency, the spectacular example of determined and dedicated young people demanding their rights gives glorious inspiration to all decent persons, not only of our nation but throughout the world. You have taken hold of the tradition of resolute nonviolent resistance, and you are carrying it forward toward the end of bringing all of us closer to the day of full freedom. In my recent travels in Africa and Asia, I was struck by the youthfulness of leaders in the struggle for liberation and by the immensely responsible role of students.
What is fresh, what is new in your fight is the fact that it was initiated, fed, and sustained by students. What is new is that American students have come of age. You now take your honored places in the worldwide struggle for freedom. This creative protest against segregated eating facilities again highlights the fact that segregation is the Negro burden and America's shame. You have given an additional death blow to the once prevalent idea that the Negro prefers segregation.
You have also made it clear that we will not be satisfied with token integration, for token integration is nothing but a new form of discrimination covered up with certain niceties of complexity. Separate facilities, whether in eating places or public schools, are inherently unequal. The underlying philosophies of segregation are diametrically opposed to democracy and Christianity, and all the dialectics of all the logicians of the world cannot make them lie down together. So, I would call upon all the people of goodwill in this community to support the efforts of these students.
I would also call upon the white people of this state to back up the marvelous protest of these students. What they are doing is significant, not only for North Carolina, not only for the Negro, but for the whole of America. I'm convinced more white people must join the movement against segregation in this country. The tensions in race relations in the United States today are not tensions between white and black people. They are tensions between justice and injustice, between light and darkness.
If there is a victory, it will not be for just 17 million Negroes. It will be a victory for justice, democracy, and freedom. The festering sore of segregation debilitates the white man as well as the Negro. So as long as America is burdened down with the ugly weight of segregation, she cannot expect to have the respect of the peoples of the world. Indeed, the shape of the world today does not permit us as luxury of an anemic democracy. America must either achieve racial justice or face the ultimate social psychosis that can lead to domestic suicide.
May I say to you, as you continue your protest, you will confront moments of difficulty. But let us realize that no great and lasting gain comes in history without suffering and sacrifice. I have prayed much over our Southern situation, and I have come to the conclusion that we are in for a season of suffering. Now, I pray that recognizing the necessity of suffering, the Negro will make of it a virtue. To suffer in a righteous cause is to grow to our humanity's full stature.
If only to save ourselves from the bitterness, we need the vision to see the ordeals of this generation as an opportunity to transfigure ourselves and American society. Let us not fear going to jail. If officials threaten to arrest us for standing up for our rights, we must answer by saying that we are willing and prepared to fill the jails of the South. Maybe it will take this willingness to stay in jail to rouse the dozing conscience of our nation.
May I also urge you to continue the struggle on the highest level of dignity. You have rightfully chosen to follow the path of nonviolence. As we protest, our ultimate aim is not to defeat or humiliate the white man, but to win his friendship and understand. We have a moral obligation to remind him that segregation is wrong. Let us protest with the ultimate aim of being reconciled with our white brothers. As we sit down quietly to request a cup of coffee, let us not forget to drink from that invisible cup of love, which can change a segregationist into an integrationist.
Let us keep our eyes on the end we seek, but let us never forget the significance of proper means. There is a success of history and a success of eternity. Right methods to achieve a right objective is itself a coming together of history and eternity. And where one uses right methods, there is, even if obscured in history, a spiritual victory. Let us avoid not only external physical violence, but also internal violence of the spirit. We can build an empire depending on love.
In that way, we may be able to not only teach ourselves something, but we may be able also to teach others something. The choice is no longer between violence and non-violence, it is between violence and non-existence. All the darkness in the world cannot obscure the light of a single candle. And so, I would urge you to continue your just struggle until the people with whom you trade with will respect your person as much as they respect your dollar. May I assure you that you have the full weight of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference behind you in your struggle.
At a certain point in every struggle of great importance, a moment of doubt or hesitation develops. Some voices declare, "Let us stop here. We have gone far enough." We confronted this crisis in Montgomery. We had these doubts. Despite the debates, the confusion, and the uncertainty, we carried on. If there is one lesson experience taught us, which I would hope to leave with you, it is that when you have found by the help of God a correct course, a morally sound objective, you do not equivocate, you do not retreat and dash, you struggle to win a victory.
Let nobody stop you. You are doing something that will ultimately save the soul of America. If you continue to struggle, there will be a new day in America. We are not rabble-rousers. We are not dangerous agitators. Nor do we seek political dominance. Black supremacy is as bad as white supremacy. But freedom is necessary for one's selfhood, for one's intrinsic worth. Let us say to the white people, we are not going to take bombs into your communities. We will not do anything to destroy you physically.
We will not turn to some foreign ideology. Communism has never invaded our ranks. We've been loyal to America, now we want to be free. And remember that both history and destiny are on us and we have cosmic companionship. And one day, historians of this era might be able to say that there lived a great people, a black people who injected new meaning into civilization.
Ladies and gentlemen, here are your 2025 Martin Luther King Jr. Scholarship recipients.
You know what? We definitely have to give our future leaders of tomorrow another round of applause. They're amazing. They're awesome. Congratulations, guys. I'm so proud of you. You definitely inspire so many people. Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies, students, and Eric, for that wonderful presentation. It is my pleasure right now to introduce Dr. Michael Gavin, President of Delta College, and Dr. Reva Curry, Vice President of Instruction Learning Services at Delta College. They will present some more inspiring people. The Martin Luther King Jr. Drum Major Award. Let's give them a round of applause. Welcome them to the stage.
All right, good evening and congratulations to the students once again. Like Colette said, we're very inspired by the work that you've been doing. And in a moment where our political sphere is both threatening to be regressive and antithetical to what Dr. King espoused in his notes of and speeches about equity, diversity, and justice, these award winners have demonstrated the acts of courage as well as giving that could be considered building that empire of love that Dr. King espoused in the earlier speech. And so I wanted to first offer you Mr. Jeff Dukes, who is a licensed journeyman with UA Local 85 plumbers, steam fitters, and HVAC-R, service techs, and a member of the AFL-CIO of Saginaw and Bay counties. With the AFL-CIO, he has built accessibility ramps for individuals and families. He's encouraged youth at the Saginaw Career Complex in skilled trades careers and volunteered in the Foster Families Navigation and Resource Center for the United Way of Bay County. Thank you for what you've done for us. The Drum Major Award for Midland County goes to Dr. Kenneth Jolly, Professor of History at Saginaw Valley State University. Dr. Kenneth Jolly is a professor of history and chairperson of Black Studies program at Saginaw Valley State University. He is a volunteer with the Cultural Awareness Coalition and We Hear You initiative, and helped conduct research for the group's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Community Assessment. He provides diversity, equity, and inclusion workshops throughout the region and volunteers at numerous events for inclusion and belonging in the community. Thank you, Dr. Jolly, for what you've done. And finally, last but certainly not least, the Drum Major Award for Saginaw County goes to Gilberto, but we know him as Gil, Guevara, Senior Executive Director of Artistas Latinx in Acción Siempre, or otherwise known as ALAS. Mr. Guevara was a former trustee for the Saginaw Board of Education, a field representative for the Human Relations Department for the City of Saginaw, and Executive Director of the Latin American Affairs Department for the Catholic Diocese of Saginaw. With over 52 years of community service to the City of Saginaw, Mr. Guevara has served on over 30 boards of directors and commissions. He has focused on youth services, education, and community service. Among his many awards, recognitions, and citations he has received include the Outstanding Chicano Student Alumni from Delta College, the State of Michigan Special Tribute Recognition from former State Representative Vanessa Guerra and former State Senator Ken Horn. Congratulations to all three of you.
Exciting. This is their night to shine. We want them to shine. I am so excited about these next two young men. This year, the Great Lakes Bay Regional MLK. First of all, thank you to Dr. Gavin and Dr. Curry. Congratulations to those winners as well, because we know it takes mentors and makes people who believe in our children in order for them to succeed. So thank you so much for your hard work and dedication in the community. This year, the Great Lakes Bay Regional MLK Committee partnered with the Dow Treasure Academy to highlight the winners of, get this, the Dream Yet Speaks Oratorical Competition, which is designed to provide youth in the Great Lakes Bay region with the opportunity to use their voices to share how Dr. King's dream lives on. Tonight, we invite the top winners of this competition to share their speech. Ooh, you are in for a treat. Just sit back, relax, and listen and internalize their message. Please welcome to the stage. I'd like to welcome the first place winner, Ivan Phillips, and second place, Jalen Pringle, who are both students attending the $1 million, beautiful Saginaw United High School. We love it. Okay, we are going to hear their speeches. And this is going to do something to you that just moves your soul, uplifts your spirit, and gets you saying, hey, our leaders for tomorrow, we are ready for them to take over. Okay, I'm going to have second place winner, Jalen Pringle. We'll start with his speech.
Like Dr. Martin Luther King, I have a dream. A dream that no child will have to grow up in poverty. A dream that no mother will have to go hungry just to feed her child. A dream that gun violence will no longer rob families of fathers, sons, uncles, and dreams. Dr. King spoke with justice, equality, and a future where people are not judged by their circumstances, but by the content of their character. My life has been shaped by circumstances that some might see as obstacles. Poverty, the loss of loved ones to gun violence, and the struggles of growing up without a father. But just like Dr. King, I believe those struggles are not the end of my story. They are the fire that fuels me to great change. Poverty made me who I am. It taught me resilience, determination, and the power of empathy. Watching my mother sacrifice everything for me gave me a model of selflessness and strength. Losing my father to gun violence opened my eyes to the pain so many families endure and gave me a reason to speak out against it. Being in the wrong crowd as a child showed me the path I did not want to take and gave me the courage to change my life. Dr. King said, "Out of the mountain of despair, a stone of hope." I am that stone of hope. I want to use my voice, my story, to inspire others who feel trapped by poverty or broken by loss. I want to show them that their circumstances do not define them. Their dreams, their determination, and their willingness to rise above their struggles are what define them. I stand here today because I believe in change, not just for myself, but for every child growing up like I did. I believe in a future where no one is forced to choose between feeding their child and feeding themselves. I believe in a future where gun violence is not a constant threat, but a distant memory. Dr. King's dream inspired generations to fight for civil rights, equality, and justice. My dream is to carry that torch forward, to use my voice to speak for those who feel silenced, and to make a difference in my community. My dream is to turn my pain into purpose, my struggles into strength, and my story into a source of hope for others. I am Jalen, and I would not let my past hold me back. Poverty made me who I am, but it would not define my future. I am using my voice for change, and just like Dr. King, I have a dream that together we can create a better world for everyone. Thank you.
Yes, come forward with me, baby. Oh. Jalen, you are a walking miracle. You can do anything you want to. You know that. You're an inspiration. You are hope for the future. You are living Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream, his hope for the future. You are it. You keep striving for excellence.
I will.
You got this. I'm so proud of you. And you are a walking testimony to so many people. It doesn't matter your circumstances. It doesn't matter what you've gone through. You can do it if you put your mind to it, hard work, and you can inspire those coming up after you. Yes. You did it. Congratulations. I'm so proud of you. Yes. Woo. Okay, thank you, Jalen. Okay, next we have the first place winner. I have Ivan Phillips. Please welcome him to the stage as well.
Every step I take is on a ground that was fought for. Every right I exercise was paid for with the blood, sweat, and tears of my ancestors. At 18 years old, I stand here today because countless black men and women refused to back down, refused to be silenced, and refused to accept anything less than full recognition of our humanity and dignity. Our story began long before slavery and the greatness of African civilizations. But even through the darkest times of bondage, our people kept their spirit alive through song, through story, through faith, and through an unshakable sense of community. From the Underground Railroad to the Harlem Renaissance, from the Montgomery bus boycott to the Black Lives Matter movement, we have consistently shown that our unity is our strength. As a young black person in America today, I carry this legacy in every fiber of my being. When I look in the mirror, I see reflection of Harriet Tubman's courage, Malcolm X's unwavering conviction, and Maya Angelou's artistic brilliance, and Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream. But I also see the everyday heroes our grandmothers who worked at 2 jobs to put their children through school, our fathers who taught us to hold our heads high despite adversity, and our mothers who installed in us an unshakable sense of pride in our blackness. Our culture is our strength. It's in the way we turn poetry into pain. It's in the way we turn pain into poetry, struggle into song, and hardship into hope. It's in our Sunday dinners and family reunions, and our step shows and church choirs, and our historical black colleges and universities that have educated generations of leaders. We created jazz, blues, hip-hop, art forms that have transformed the world. We have excelled in every field, from science to sports, from literature to law, showing that excellence is in our DNA. But our work isn't finished. Every time we see injustice, every time we witness equality, we're reminded that the torch passed it to us by our ancestors still burns. As 18-year-old of this proud legacy, I understand that it is not enough to simply admire our history. We must actively contribute to it. Each of us has a responsibility to push forward, to break new barriers, and to lift up our communities as we continue to fight for our equality. That same spirit that helped our ancestors survive the Middle Passage, that gave them the strength during the Reconstruction, that powered the Civil Rights Movement, that unwavering spirit lives in us. We live the lives of their wildest dreams come true, but we're also their legacy in progress. Their blood runs in our veins, their hopes beats in our hearts, and their dreams live in our actions. For every ancestor who couldn't speak, we will speak louder. For every ancestor who couldn't vote, we will vote prouder. For every ancestor who couldn't read, we will write our own story. I will continue to use my voice to represent our culture, to bring peace to our communities and pouring love into our homes, but also to continue the work that Dr. King started. The time is always right to do what is right. Thank you.
And you know what? This is our future right here. When he said the work is not finished, guess what? Who's going to finish that work? Right here. You have everything it takes, the quality, the intelligence, the speech, everything to make a difference, to change the world, to be a trailblazer, just like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and you keep striving for excellence, reach the skies, because you can do anything you put your mind to, and I know that you already know that. All right, keep on doing it. Another round of applause. Ivan Phillips. Jalen, come back out here too. Both of these are students at Saginaw United High School. We are so proud of them. Jalen, are you here? Come on back out. Ivan, we want to give you another round of applause. Please come back out here so we can tell you how much we appreciate you, how much you inspired us this evening. Thank you. And how much did you get? 1,500. Look at this, 1,000. Going to your education. You keep it up. Don't let anything get you out of your path. No one can tell you can't do anything. You can do whatever you put your mind to, and you know that. I appreciate that. But I want to bring out also Kareem Bowen. He is the one who has just mentored these kids and got him. I have to bring him out here from Dow Treasure Academy. And he is just, I know you're proud of these young men. Thank you for what you do. We appreciate you as well. Thank you so much. We would also like to thank Terry Bill, who has also participated in this competition. And Dr. King would be so proud of these young men like we all are this evening. I'd like to bring to the stage Dr. Joseph Ofori Donkwa Harvey Randall Wicks, endowed professor at Saginaw Valley State University, to the podium, who will introduce tonight's keynote speaker. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you.
Good evening. On this wonderfully warm Michigan weather, it is indeed an honor to bring onto the stage a special guest of honor, Reverend Nontombi Naomi Tutu. Reverend Tutu is an economist and development consultant. She has been a peace activist and a race and gender justice activist for oh so many years. She's worked as a program director on several race and gender-related problems at universities in Africa and in the United States. She's the recipient of several awards and 4 honorary degrees. She is an ordained Episcopal priest and most recently served as the Associate Rector at All Saints in Beverly Hills. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to bring onto the stage Reverend Dr. Nontombi Naomi Tutu for an interview, discussion, and her suggestions as to the way forward. Please, let's give a big hand of applause. Good morning.
Good evening.
Good afternoon. We're going to have about 20 minutes or so of questions to our very distinguished guest, and then after that, we're going to open it up for Q&A with the audience for maybe about 10 minutes or so. I think it would be nice to start with a softball question, if I may. Okay. What was it growing up as the daughter of a Nobel Peace Prize winner, the Archbishop Desmond Tutu? What was Dad like?
So whenever I get that question, I say, you know, I can't tell you whether he was a good or a bad father because he was the only one I had. I had nothing to compare him to. So, and also, you know, that my father did not win the Nobel Peace Prize until I was grown out of the house, married. And so I wasn't raised by a Nobel Peace Prize winner. And in fact, for much of my growing up, my father was not known outside South Africa. But inside South Africa, he was known as a religious leader from a very young age for me. And that was the important part for me, was the access that we received to amazing people because of my father's role as a priest. So we got to meet those people who were young leaders in the struggle against apartheid, and got to be in a community where we saw the possibility of a new South Africa, that we were around people who dreamed a better South Africa and not only dreamt but also worked for it. And so we had these role models and saw them, I think that what is really important was that we saw them, in the struggle, on the streets, marching, speaking, and we saw them in their moments of quiet, in their moments of joking around, in their moments of complete humanity, if you like, which encouraged me because I think often we see people in leadership and we imagine that they are something different than the rest of us as human beings. And the truth is that they are all human beings, and they say stupid things sometimes. They care, they get hurt, they struggle themselves in their leadership roles, and that was true of my father too.
I see, and along those same lines, I'm curious, did you meet Nelson Mandela, and what were your impressions about him?
So yes, I did meet President Mandela and on a number of occasions. But I was telling the ministers this afternoon that in fact my close relationship was with Aunt Winnie because they lived, if you've ever gone to South Africa, you will be, and go to Soweto, you will be taken to the only street in the world that 2 Nobel Prize winners lived on. So the Mandela household is at the top of the hill, our house is at the bottom of the hill. And so President Mandela was still on Robben Island, obviously, but Aunt Winnie was there, and we were in and out of each other's homes. Zinzi and Zeni went to the same boarding school that my younger sister and I went to in Swaziland, so our parents actually used to swap. So one parent would take us to school and then the other would come and bring us back. But when I met President Mandela, again, I think the thing that was most striking for me was his complete humility. And I say that with a tinge of concern, because people think that when you say somebody has humility, that they are not me, I'm not worthy, I am not worthy, I'm not. No, President Mandela was very clear about his complete humanity. And I mean, even the guards on Robben Island speak about that he was somebody who carried himself with dignity and refused to accept the degradation that they were imposed on them on Robben Island as defining him. But the humility is that he recognized always the humanity of everyone he came in contact with, even his prison guards. And again, they talk about that. And so, when I met him, I was already an adult, the mother of small children, and he talked to my children as though they were human beings, which many adults don't, right? Then when they see little children, they don't talk to them as though these people have thoughts and a heart and ideas of what, and that to me was the thing that was most striking to me was when you hear of somebody who says, I recognize the humanity of all, and then you watch them not do it. But President Mandela was, what he said is what he lived. Wow. And he was also somebody with a sense of humor. Again, I was telling the pastors at lunch today that when President Mandela started wearing what is now called the Mandela shirt, the shirts with all the prints, at one point my father said to him, you need to remember that you're a president, and sometimes you should wear a tie, wear a jacket and tie, act like a president. And President Mandela said to him, and this from a man who runs around in a pink dress, you shouldn't be telling anybody anything about clothing. So, I mean, he was fully human.
That is wonderful. going to switch topics ever so slightly. You've always said, and I'm quoting, "I have my father's nose, I don't want his job." What led you to change your mind and to become an ordained Episcopal priest?
Whew, what led me to change my mind? It was a long struggle. It was a long struggle. And partly the reason that I said that was because when I was born, the person who came to see me, because my father was at seminary, the person who came to see the baby to go and tell my father about this new baby said to him, "Oh, this one, all we need to do is put glasses and a cassock on her, and it's you." So that was the story I heard from my earliest age, and so I never wanted to be in a cassock. And I said, you know, the one thing I know I will never be in my life is a priest. And so, I mean, the big lesson is that never say never, right? In fact, the person who made me finally listen to what had been happening in me, the sense of a call that I fought against for many years, was my son's godmother, who said to me, "Oh, so now you are going to turn your back on your call because your father accepted his." And those words were words that really challenged me into thinking, you know, my father has lived what he believes. Am I going to run away from what I believe simply because I am his daughter? I mean, it continued to be a struggle. I mean, even the night before I was ordained, I still had not tried on any of my clerical shirts or collars because I was still, I'm not sure I'm going to be there in the morning. It was so many people who kept pouring into me that listen to this call, pay attention to what God is speaking into your heart. And once I accepted it, I have to admit that I have never felt more that I am living the life I'm meant to be living.
Wonderful. And we're so glad that you did accept it. Wonderful.
But if I can add one thing.
I'm so tempted to say no.
Especially because of how I'm dressed. So this is one of the shirts that I bought myself once I was ordained. And I had somebody come up to me and say, "That does not," did y'all see it? No? I have to show you. Because this is a special, right? And somebody said to me, "That's a clerical? I don't think that's a clerical shirt." And I said, you know, God called me to be a priest. God didn't call me to be a white man. And the way the shirts were made, they look fine on white men, but I have a sense of fashion. And God called me, fully me, to be a priest.
Amen.
Didn't ask me to change that about myself.
All right. Amazing. Switching topics again.
I know you saw that you were on dangerous ground, right?
Yes. But on a more serious note, one of the most powerful worldwide events that happened was the successful Truth and Reconciliation process in South Africa. Can you share with us briefly?
You notice he said briefly, because all my answers have been too long.
Ever so briefly. But can you share with us the process, and in particular, how it is used to heal wounds and to bridge divides?
So, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission had three parts. One was an amnesty committee that heard amnesty applications from perpetrators of human rights abuses. And in order to qualify for amnesty, they had to tell the truth of what they had done, show that there was political motivation, and show some kind of equivalence between their act and their goal. The second was the Human Rights Committee, which heard the stories of the victims and survivors of human rights abuses. And then the third was the Reparations Committee that was tasked with coming up with a formula for reparations for those who were determined to be victims and survivors of human rights abuses. And I think that the things that the world saw most were, in fact, the Human Rights Committee hearings, which were, I think, truly powerful to hear the ways in which people in our country had suffered for our liberation. In many of the stories, we did not know. We knew that people disappeared. We knew that people were killed. We knew that people were tortured. But the extent of what different people in our country went through for our liberation only became known through the process of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And I think that the importance of it was showing us the two ends of the human spectrum. So we got to see the depth to which we can sink as human beings when we dehumanize others, in the stories of the perpetrators, in the accounts of the torture that they put people under, in their accounts of how they killed families and activists. And then on the other hand, we saw the amazing human spirit that was the survivors of those human rights abuses, who still were committed to a just South Africa for all South Africans. And it is, I think, in having the two spectrums that we are able to work towards healing, because we recognize that those perpetrators, there was nothing on their faces that said, I am going to perpetrate human rights abuses. That it was something in the way they were socialized, in the way they were encouraged to believe that hate was the way to build the nation. And the same for those who were survivors. There was nothing on their face that said, I'm a person of great courage and also a person of great compassion. But it was through their socialization, their hearts, their courage, that they showed us that model. And that both of those stories were the stories that brought us as South Africans to a new South Africa.
Wow. And taking that as a base and expanding even further, could you share with us how Martin Luther King's principles help us to understand our shared humanity? Because all too often we forget that there is this shared humanity.
Yes, yes. And, when I think of Dr. King, I think of the courage he showed in refusing to dehumanize even those who dehumanized him. So my favorite of his writings is in fact the letter from a Birmingham jail. And the reason that is such a powerful message for me is that he is writing to faith leaders in Birmingham who have labeled him a troublemaker, an agitator, and person who should not be in their community, and is trying to stir up the black community towards violence. And his response is not to say you are all a bunch of heartless idiots, which I might have, responded. But rather it is to say that as people of faith, I ask you to question what it is your faith teaches you, and to acknowledge the level of pain that people, the Black people in this community, experience on a daily basis. And that when you say to people, be patient in your suffering, a suffering that you have not experienced, that is not a message of faith. And so he challenges them, but doesn't challenge them on their humanity. Because he could have said, you are completely inhumane for thinking this way. But rather he calls on their humanity and speaks to that humanity, trying to draw that humanity out, even as they have disparaged and vilified him. So for me, that is the key, the core of who Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was, and the model that he holds for us. And and I say that for me, Dr. King, President Mandela, that idea of a shared humanity that they constantly spoke of, that you cannot be fully human when you dehumanize others. And so that to me is the key lesson that I take from Dr. King, and a key lesson that I hope that we, in this time where voices of hatred, of division are amplified in so many spheres, not just the political sphere, in our religious faith communities, in our social communities, that where those voices are being amplified, that we remember that we have models, role models, who have shown us how to live with dignity and compassion.
That is so well stated. Let me end.
Oh, we ending already? See, I told you that I was a priest and I stopped preaching.
You're
even
doing
when
good.
You asked me briefly.
You haven't even started the preaching yet. But two questions, somewhat interrelated. For the adults in this audience, what would be your call to action, suggestions for us, myself included? And then for our young, talented students and youth in this audience, what would be your call for action?
So this is going to be a sermon, okay?
That is fine.
I'm warning you now. So, I mean, for the adults, I have a double call to action. And the first is to spend time with people under the age of 5. And the reason I say that, well, actually we can do even under the age of 7 if you want, if you're afraid of toddlers, because there's somebody to be afraid of, I promise you. But that I often hear people say, why can't we be like children? Children don't notice difference. And I always say, you have never been around a child if you say that, because children notice difference. And children don't just notice difference, they comment on difference. And as a parent, they comment on difference at the most embarrassing times in the loudest voice possible. But the reason that they comment about difference is because for them, difference is an opportunity to learn something new about the world. And they want to know something new about the world. They want to expand their horizon. They want to expand their worldview. They want to learn about people with different stories, different languages, different cultures, different backgrounds, because that for them is an enriching experience. And so my call to adults is to have the courage of young people and look at difference as an opportunity to learn. Look at difference as an opportunity to expand our world horizons, our views. My favorite, one of my favorite African proverbs is, in the time of floods, the wise build bridges, the foolish build walls. And that is, in the time of crisis, the wise reach out. They know that in order to get out of a crisis, we need new ideas, new perspectives, new voices in the room to help us get out of this crisis. And so that would be my first challenge to the adults amongst us, is to open our hearts, our eyes, our ears to recognizing difference as an opportunity for expanding the opportunity for all of us. My second is, and this one is particularly to our Christian community as a Christian priest, and that is, I say to our congregation, I want you to go back to 9/11. And do you remember after 9/11 that people around the country were saying, we want to hear from the good Muslims who will say that this is not about our faith. Our faith does not support violence like this. We want to hear from the good Muslims. And I said, right now, people in this country are saying, we want to hear from the good Christians. Because we are hearing from Christians who are saying our faith is about hate. Our faith is about dividing people. Our faith is about denigrating and vilifying people. And people are saying we need to hear from the good Christians who say our leader, our founder said to us, I give you a new commandment, that you love one another. Nothing else. Nothing else. That was the one new commandment that Jesus gave us. And so that would be my charge to the adults in the room. To the young people, I would say, reach back. Reach back for the stories of those who went before you. Because those stories of times of darkness, of times of despair, will show you people who believed that the world could be better and that they had a role in making the world better. And that is your role, that you need to believe that the world can be better and that you have a role in making this world better. And your role might not be dramatic, it might not be a Nobel Peace Prize, it might not be delivering amazing speeches as we heard this evening from those two young men, but your role, whatever it is, can be about building a world of justice, a world in which compassion and our connection to one another as human beings is uplifted. Thank you. Thank you.
Now we're going to have a few questions from the audience.
Okay.
2 questions from the audience.
Oh, only. Sorry, that was me preaching. That's why you only get 2.
Yes, hello. Thank you for being here with us. and we're honored to have you here. I wanted to ask you if you see any parallel between what happened in South Africa many years ago and what has gone on in Gaza, especially with the Israelite policies and how they're treating people in Gaza. Do you see any parallels or similarities?
Oh, I definitely see similarities. In fact, the first time I went to Palestine, Israel as an adult, I was actually shocked driving from the airport in Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, and there was a road sign that said, all Palestinian vehicles must exit the highway at this next exit. And I thought, oh my gosh, even in the worst time of apartheid, they didn't keep us off the highways. So, I mean, that this was a different level of apartheid even from what we experienced in South Africa. And my father said that, that what he saw in Israel, even before Gaza, that the demolition of homes, collective punishment of communities, detention without trial, that was so similar to what happened in South Africa, and in many ways worse. When we talk about Gaza, I mean, I don't even think that apartheid even reaches the level of the devastation that we've seen in Gaza. That I was just looking at pictures of what is left after this almost 2 years of bombardment, and it is heartbreaking. It is absolute devastation. And in fact, when I saw those pictures, my first reaction was Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That's how demolished those communities looked to me. And yes, I think this is a shame for all of us in the world, that we largely kept silent in the face of such brutality.
Could we have one more question, please?
There's somebody way back there. Way back.
I was most interested in what you said about the Truth and Reconciliation, because I teach African literature, and I ask my students to come here to think about the comparison between the African and here. And I was particularly thinking about restorative justice as a policy here. And it reminded me of even something in the novel Things Fall Apart, where the man who had beaten his wife was told to go and beg her to let him to come back. And also that if he beat her again, the relatives said they'd cut off his genitals. So it seemed to me and when I ask students about that, they think he's going to do it again. And I think, doggone, he's not going to beat her again. Right. So, but that comparison to restorative justice here, it seemed to me was reminded by that.
Yes, and I think that was part of the foundation, idea behind the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, because in fact, many people said that South Africa should have had Nuremberg-style trials where the perpetrators of human rights abuses should be put on trial for their abuses and punished. And so the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's idea was that we do not want a continuing cycle of anger and hatred, that what we want is to build a nation, and that therefore the retribution in our instance would not help in the healing and building of a new country, that rather we should be looking at restorative justice. I do think that, and this is me, I was not part of writing the bill for the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. I didn't serve on the commission. I do think that we missed out a portion of what I think restorative justice should have, which is a point of responsibility for the perpetrator for what he has done. And so as you talk about in Things Fall Apart, they are asked to go, he is told to go and beg the forgiveness of his wife. We did not have anything in place in that kind of way of asking the perpetrators to ask for forgiveness, or even, I thought, because as somebody who had children, I know when you tell children to say, I'm sorry, that they'll say, I'm sorry, and that's even worse than not saying I'm sorry, right? But that rather to have asked them to do something for the good of the community in recognition of having harmed the community by their actions. And I think that is an important part of the restorative justice process, is not to simply say to the person, we let you off, but to say, you are part of this community, you have hurt this community, and we want to give you an opportunity to help heal this community. And so I if I had been asked, I would have put that in the act. But as usual, nobody asked me.
Wonderful. I think we have
one more.
One, is that?
Yep, I believe so.
Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Everything that you've said in some ways suggests answers to this, but I wanted to ask directly if you could talk a bit about the ways in which your faith shapes your activism, but also the ways in which your activism shapes your faith.
Why did I let you ask? Because I always do that. I leave the hardest question and I say, yes, please go ahead and ask. So again, as I was saying to the pastors today, one of the learnings that I received from my father, from my parents, was the importance of prayer as a foundational space for being able to do justice work. And my father always used to say, if I didn't pray, I couldn't be out in the world doing what I do. And if I wasn't part of a larger body of Christ, I couldn't do what I do in the world. The fact that I know that I have siblings who are praying for me, who are feeling the pain when I am in pain, who care and who celebrate and who pray and cry with and for me is so important in my ability to do this work. And I have to say that has been a reality for me too, that prayer foundation and being part of a larger body have been life-sustaining in doing the work. And also that the foundation for me for doing this work comes from my faith. And it comes particularly from three things that I read as part of my faith. The first is that God said, let us create human beings in our own image. And so the very fact that I am created in God's image and everyone else I meet is created in God's image too means that I have to care for my siblings. I have to want justice, freedom, freedom from poverty, from oppression, all of that I have to want for my siblings. The second is, again, because I for a long time I said I was going to read through the whole Bible, and it took me forever just to get through Genesis. So my second is also from Genesis, because it's like, okay, you can hold on to these. And that is where God looked at what God had created and said, it is good, right? And so that I believe that part of our role is to work to make our world again a world, a creation where God can look and say, it is good, it is very good. And so that is the other for me, that part of my work has to be about trying to make this world a world where our God can see good again. And then the last is what I spoke about, that Jesus could have said, I need you all to slaughter for me 6 times a year so that you will know that I am the Messiah. But he said, I give you a new commandment, that you love one another. That was the only new commandment that our Messiah gave, that we love one another. And therefore, I cannot but be about the work of trying to build a beloved community, as Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King called it. And my activism has an impact on my faith in that I say I cannot say that my faith starts on a Sunday morning and ends on a Sunday evening, that when I'm in church praying. That is, I was always taught that our time of worship is a time of filling ourselves so that we can go out and do the work that God has called us to do. So, thank you all very much for being here.
Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I love that faith and works. And please stay here because I'd like for them to give you a round of applause. Thank you to Dr. Donkwa, who introduced our keynote speaker. Thank you so much for your insightful questions. Reverend Tutu, it has been an honor to listen to your words. We're all so inspired by your valuable experience that you shared with us. Thank you so much. Of course. Well, we appreciate you being here this evening. Now I'd like to invite you. We're going to sit back and relax for our musical performer for this evening, Mr. David Burt. Welcome him to the stage, who will sing a musical selection. And Mr. Burt, who retired young from AT&T in 2022, hails from Saginaw, Michigan, and is a graduate of Saginaw High School. Welcome, Dr. Burt. And when the musical selection concludes, we will be hearing closing remarks from Dr. Mamie Thorns, Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and who does it all? We all know that. Okay, let's hear from Mr. David Burt. Please welcome him to the stage.
Good evening.
Just like that river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living was up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, and I know a change gon' come. Oh, yes, it will. Said I go to the movie and I go downtown, but somebody keeps telling me don't hang around. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gon' come. Oh, yes, it will. Then I go to my brother and I say, brother, help me please. But then he winds up knocking me back down on my knees. Oh, there were times that I thought I wouldn't last for long, but now I know I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gon' come. Oh, yes, it will.
Good evening, good evening. Oh, what an evening. First of all, I just want to just give thanks and honor. This has been an amazing journey to plan with our wonderful committee to plan for our regional Martin Luther King celebration. This is not an easy task. And I have to say, we worked just about all year on first, coming up with a date, coming up with a speaker. And it was just so interesting how Reverend Tutu just came into my spirit. And I said, I'm going to see if we can get her. And because of the great sponsors that we have in this Great Lake Bay region, we were able to bring her to our region. And I just want to say thank you so much for accepting the invitation. Thank you so much for being with us. We had a great luncheon today with several of our ministers from our region who gave the official welcome to you, to our region, and we hope that you will come back. And as I said, you can't do this without the committee. And if the committee members are still here, I really would like for you to stand because I really want you to know, come on, Renee, I really want you to know how much we really do appreciate all of the hard work, yes. And you can see the names on the screen, and also the names are in the program. And Dr. Joseph Ofori-Dankwa, thank you. Whenever I call him, he never says no. Now, he has lots of questions, like he had for you. But thank you so much, and we truly do appreciate that. Thank you. You really did an amazing job. Thank you. Okay. Colette Boyd, how many times have you been our MC? But you're going to be an MC next year, okay? So I'm putting you on notice. Her spirit is just so beautiful, and we truly, truly thank you. And we thank Team 5. Yes. TV5. Thank you. May I see my sponsors, please? Our sponsors, look at this. You know, thank you. If you're in, please stand. Sponsors. SVSU, your sponsors, y'all stand up. Come on, be recognized. Thank you. Yes. And we also continue to have our friends of sponsors, friends of Martin Luther King. And if you don't own a company, but you would like to become a friend of Martin Luther King, just reach out and let me know. And if you are here in the audience, would you please stand? Friends of MLK. Stand up over there. Yep, thank you. Judge Atkins, yes, thank you. Dr. Rosalind McQueen, you're here, yes, thank you. We really do appreciate Kevin and Dolores Williams and Alberta Port. We really do appreciate all of your support. Next slide, please. As you can see, we already have our date, January the 21st, 2026. Before I bring up the next slide, I do have to say something that's very heavy on my heart this evening, and that is when we have events like this on our campus, this is what true diversity, equity, and inclusion looks like. And I thank you so much for your ongoing support. And I see so many of my colleagues out there. Thank you so much, deans. I see you out there and others. Thank you so much for all of your support. And what can I say about our scholarship recipients? Please stand again. Yes. Dow Treasures. Dow Treasures, please stand. Yeah. Yes. Our future is in good hand with our young people. And if I saw where some of you are undecided where you would like to go to school, just contact, I know she's here, Jennifer, where's Jen Paul? Yes, she's here. Yes, if you need any information about helping to apply to a university, we are more than happy to assist and help you. Thank you so much. Keep up the good work. You have already made us proud, and I know you will continue to make us proud. So thank you so much. Yes. Now, the call to action doesn't end here. Next slide, please. It doesn't end here. We need to continue to be about the work. And as our speaker have given us some things that we can do as adults and even as young people. But we have an event coming up, next slide please, that's coming up on next week where we're putting together a symposium where we're going to talk about some of these diversity, equity, and inclusion issues. And we can rename it, but we're still going to be talking about working together, getting along with each other, loving each other. So I want to invite you, and as you leave this auditorium, there will be people at the back who will give you a flyer, and then you can use the U code to register. It's only $30, and I'll throw this out here. If $30 is something that's going to stop you from coming, you contact me. And we'll be more than happy to assist and to help you. So once again, our musician, and I forgot is Dr. Hillman still here with the Saginaw United? Thank you so much. I know school was closed today, but she came anyway and brought 2 of her students there. I know Dr. Roberts is here. Thank you for your ongoing support. He said, don't worry, Dr. Thorns, they'll be there. So we really do appreciate your ongoing support. Now, I know I probably left out some people, but I just want to once again just thank all of you for coming. And at this time, I just need for you to stand, please. Now, we practice on this now, okay? Oh, Julie. No? Well, this is the moment and the time that we sing happy birthday to Dr. King. And and I know you don't want me to sing, so I'm not going to, okay? But please join us after you leave here. We have some refreshments outside for you, and we'd love for you to stay and mingle, and you can also have the opportunity to take some photos. So once again, thank you for coming, and have a great evening.